What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into my every single bowl game predictions video for the 2023 college football season. So let's get into this here. Starting out with the first bowl, the Mitral Peach Bowl between Ohio and Georgia Southern. I'm going to go with the Bobcats in that one. I am going to go with Florida A&M to beat Howard there. Louisiana versus Jacksonville State. Give me the Gamecocks to pull off the win, but an interesting matchup there that could go either way. And then we're going to have our first upset here. We're going to go with Appalachian State and the Avocados Mexico Bowl to beat Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio's had a really good year. Don't get me wrong. Appalachian State's been turning it on the past few weeks, though. They're a red-hot team. So give me them to pull off the win over Miami, Ohio. And then Fresno State versus New Mexico State. I'm going to go with New Mexico State. Fresno State's just not been the same team since they were like 5-0 or something like that. So give me New Mexico State to win it. And then interesting game, UCLA and Boise State. I do think this one should be a good one. I am going to go with UCLA, though, just barely. I do think that UCLA defense will make troubles for Boise State in this one. Boise State did just win the Mountain West, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat UCLA there. And then I do believe Texas Tech will beat California in that game, just a better team out of the Big 12. Texas Tech started out the year struggling, but they've turned things around to make it here. I do think they beat California. And then Western Kentucky, I do think beats Old Dominion in that game. UTSA, I think, will pull off the win over Marshall in the Coffee Frisco Bowl. Then we have Syracuse pulling off the win over South Florida in that game. UCF versus Georgia Tech. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech to pull off the win. You know, UCF's been a hotter team as of late. Don't get me wrong. You know, they went to Oklahoma State and crushed them. But something just tells me Georgia Tech is going to come out, win this bowl game over UCF, and get their 7th win on the season. Then we have Northern Illinois taking on Arkansas State. Give me Arkansas State there. Interesting game in the Birmingham Bowl. We have Duke versus Troy. I believe I am going to go with Duke here in the upset. Don't get me wrong, Troy's been a really freaking good team out of the Sun Belt, but this is going to be a big test for them against a Power 5 team in Duke who just has more talent than Troy, I think. So I am going to go with Duke to win that one. And then Air Force versus James Madison. I am going to go with James Madison to beat them. In the Idaho Potato Bowl, we do have Utah State beating Georgia State there. Eastern Michigan against South Alabama. I am going to go with South Alabama. Next, we have in the Las Vegas Bowl here. I am going to go with Utah to pull off the win over Northwestern, but I could see Northwestern pulling off the big upset. You know, the Hawaii Bowl should be a good game here, but I'm going to go with San Jose State, just barely. I think this team has turned things on as of late. Coastal Carolina is a really good program, but San Jose State almost went to the Mountain West Championship. Just tiebreakers didn't get them there. So I'm going to go with them, though, to beat Coastal Carolina. Then we have Minnesota versus Bowling Green. I'm going to go with Minnesota there. They're the only 5-win team to make it to a bowl game. So, you know, I do think they'll beat Bowling Green. Bowling Green's not a great team there. Then we have Rice versus Texas State. I'm going to go with Texas State in that one. Next, we have the Jayhawks taking on UNLV. You know, UNLV's been a good team this year. Made it to the Mountain West Championship. Unfortunately lost. That gave them a 2-game losing streak. I am going to go with the Jayhawks, though. They are a really solid team out of the Big 12. Then Tulane, I think, will beat Virginia Tech. Tulane, really good team out of the AAC. And next, we have West Virginia taking on North Carolina, 2 8-4 teams. I'm going to go with the West Virginia upset. I know North Carolina has a lot of talent on that team. But my, West Virginia's been a really solid team as of the last month or so. They've been beating teams up. I do think that they're they're going to get this win over North Carolina, who's just been too inconsistent for me to pick them here against a good team. So give me West Virginia to win in the Mayo Bowl. Next, we have Louisville versus USC. I am going to go with Louisville in that one. They are the better team there. And then we have Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. I'm going to go with the Texas A&M upset here. Another upset here. Oklahoma State, don't get me wrong, they've had a phenomenal season, made it to the Big 12 championship. Unfortunately, got demolished. But I do think this Texas A&M team is equipped to pull off the upset. Oklahoma State's just been not the same Oklahoma State team that they were in the middle part of the season these past 4 weeks or so. So I do think Texas A&M pulls off the win. And then SMU, I do think will beat Boston College in that one. Next, we have Miami versus Rutgers. Gonna go with Miami. They're a good team out of the AAC, or the ACC, sorry. And then the Pop-Tarts Bowl. This is a really solid game between Kansas State and NC State. I'm going to go with the Wolfpack, though, in this game. Good NC State team. Kansas State's been a really good team this year, too. But I don't think it's going to be enough against NC State. And then Arizona versus Oklahoma. I'm going to go with Arizona to pull off the upset. Oklahoma's been a good team. Don't get me wrong. They've kind of turned things back on the past few weeks. But, Arizona, man, this team was nowhere to start out the year, and they've completely turned it around to be one of the better teams in the country. People are counting them out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the Wildcats to pull off their 10th win. All right, Kentucky versus Clemson. Give me the Tigers to beat Kentucky. Not a big fan of that Kentucky team. Think they're too inconsistent to win that one. And then we got the Tony Tiger Bowl here between Notre Dame and Oregon State. As much as I would want to pick Oregon State in that game, I am going to go with Notre Dame. They're just the better team in my opinion. So give me the Fighting Irish to pull off the win. Next, we have Memphis versus Iowa State. I'm going to go with Memphis. Why not? Let's go with the Tigers. Never mind. I'm going to have to flip this one up. I'm going to go with Iowa State, the underdog in this game. Memphis has been a really good team this year, but out of the Big 12, it's going to be a tough test for Memphis here. Give me Iowa State. And then a really good game here. We have the Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Missouri. As much as I want to pick Missouri, they've had a phenomenal year, really good year for that program. It's just going to be too much, though. Ohio State's only lost to the number one team in the country, just barely, too. They are deserving of going to the playoff, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Give me Ohio State. Or not going to be enough for Missouri. Give me Ohio State, And then another really good game in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We got Penn State versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is slightly favored according to the percentage, but I'm going to go with Penn State. Out of the Big Ten, another Big Ten team beating the SEC in these predictions here. I just really like this Penn State team a little bit more than Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they've lost bad to Georgia, barely lost to Alabama. Penn State, I think, is more equipped. Give me them to pull off the win. And then Maryland Auburn. I am going to go with the Terrapins here to beat Auburn in another Big Ten team over the SEC. Never mind. I think I'm going to have to flip that one up. Got to go with Auburn there. I've been counting them out a lot this season. They are a good team. So give me them to pull off the win over Maryland. But that one could be a Maryland upset. And then we got the Orange Bowl between Florida State and Georgia. As much as we all want to go Florida State, they got robbed of going to the playoff. I really want to see them beat Georgia and prove the haters wrong. But I am going to have to go with the Bulldogs there. They are the more equipped team to win that one, I think, in that Orange Bowl. Then my Wyoming versus Toledo here. We got 8-4 Wyoming team who's been really solid, this season. But I am going to have to go with the Rockets there to pull off the win. And then LSU versus Wisconsin. Going to have to go with LSU there to pull off the win. And then moving on, we have in the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon versus Liberty. Liberty got the the chance to prove themselves against the Ducks. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Give me Oregon. Who doesn't want to see Liberty pull off the win? Though Oregon's only lost to Washington twice, so it's going to be tough for them to pull off that win. And then Tennessee versus Iowa. Give me Iowa, though. I know this team's been counted out a lot of this season, but they have a really solid defense. This is a good team. And Tennessee, I think, has just been too inconsistent for me to pick them. So give me Iowa. And then we have the college football playoff, which I want to be making a video next week predicting that. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you were wondering my final record of all my predictions for each week this season, I went 85-55 in the ESPN College Football Pick'em Challenge. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys.